You believe you're a good person, a smart person. You believe your judgment is sound, but that belief is based on a lie your brain tells you every single day. And that lie is quietly destroying your life. Think about the last time you were stuck in traffic, bumper to bumper, going nowhere. You looked at the cars around you, the person texting, the one weaving between lanes, the one going 10 miles under the speed limit, and a thought crossed your mind. A very specific thought. If all these idiots just knew how to drive, I'd be home by now. That wasn't just frustration. That was a signal. A flash of a pattern that runs deeper than you can possibly imagine. It's the quiet, unshakable conviction that you are the exception. That the rules that apply to everyone else, their mistakes, their blind spots, their bad judgment, don't quite apply to you in the same way. There's a name for this. It's called the illusion of superiority. It's not a flaw in your character. It's a feature of the human mind, an operating system running in the background, influencing every single decision you make. And the most dangerous part, most people never even notice it's there. They live their entire lives guided by a lie they tell themselves. This isn't just about traffic. This is a hidden tax on your entire life. It's the reason you didn't get that promotion, because you couldn't see the feedback everyone else saw. It's the source of the constant friction in your relationships. That deep feeling that you're always the one who's right, and they're the ones who just refuse to understand. It's the anxiety that comes from constantly defending a version of yourself that is always just a little bit smarter, a little more self-aware than everyone else in the room. It makes you blind to your own role in your own problems. But that blindness ends today, because what I'm about to show you will make it impossible for you to ignore. You are going to see this pattern running in your own mind, in your own decisions, and once you see it, you will never be able to unsee it. That argument you had last week, the career choice you can't let go of, you're about to understand them in a way that is deeply uncomfortable and absolutely necessary. And that core belief that you are the exception isn't just a feeling. It's one of human psychology's most predictable and dangerous patterns. Researchers in one study uncovered something deeply uncomfortable. They asked American drivers a simple question: how good are you behind the wheel compared to the average person? The results were a statistical impossibility. 93% of people rated themselves as better than average. Let that sink in for a moment. 93%. A world where almost everyone is above the middle line. It doesn't work. It cannot be true. Yet, to the person answering, it feels absolutely true. This is the illusion of superiority. It's also called the better than average effect. And it is your brain's default setting. It's the quiet, constant hum in the background of your mind. A hum that tells you that you're a little more competent, a little more moral, that your judgment is just a little sharper than the typical person's. You have to understand this. This is not arrogance. It's not about ego or being full of yourself. It is an unconscious, automatic process running silently on your mental operating system. To you, it doesn't feel like an opinion. It feels like objective reality. You don't think you're a good judge of character. You simply believe you are. You don't hope you make smart choices. You just assume you do. And here's where this funny little quirk becomes a life-altering problem. This is the root of the disastrous investment you were sure would pay off. This is the engine behind the failed project that seemed foolproof in your mind. This is the deep, frustrating reason you look at other people, your partner, your boss, your friends, and cannot understand why they don't just get it the way you so clearly do. Because that feeling of getting it better than everyone else, that's the illusion in action. And it's shaping every single one of your daily decisions right now. So that 93% statistic sounds like a number about other people. An interesting fact for a dinner party: it doesn't feel like it's about you. But this isn't about statistics. This is about your Tuesday morning. It's about the meeting you didn't prepare for. Because your internal monologue said, "I'm good at improvising." It's about the advice you ignored from a friend, solid advice they learned the hard way, because your mind whispered, "They just don't understand. My situation is different." Pay attention to that voice. That voice is the sound of the trap. It's the one that says, "That's a good rule for most people, but my case is special." It's the voice that justifies cutting the corner, skipping the boring part of the work, putting off the difficult phone call. Every time you hear it, you are feeding the illusion of your own superiority. How many projects have you started, absolutely certain of your unique ability, only to see them stall out and die? How many times have you told someone a task would take 1 hour, and it ended up taking an entire day? You don't think of it as arrogance. You call it good judgment. You call it instinct. You call it knowing yourself. But your good judgment is lying to you. It makes you chronically overestimate your own talent and chronically underestimate the effort required. It creates a quiet, constant cycle of underperformance, a life of almosts, a portfolio of brilliant ideas that never saw the light of day because the follow-through felt beneath you. Each decision feels small, trivial, but they are all threads in the same pattern. A pattern of believing you are the exception to the rule. This belief doesn't just sabotage your projects and your career. It does something far more damaging when you turn it on the people in your life. And this is where the pattern gets dangerous. This isn't just about your private decisions. This bias does its most subtle, most corrosive damage in your relationships. Think about the people you love, your partner, your closest friends. You hold a quiet, certain belief that you understand them, truly understand them. You see their blind spots. You recognize their patterns. You know what they should do. But you also feel they don't quite get you. They misinterpret your intentions. They oversimplify your motivations. You feel that if they could just see the world through your eyes for 1 minute, everything would make sense. How many times have you thought that? If you only knew what I know. This is the illusion of asymmetric insight. You believe you see them with perfect clarity, while you remain a complex, misunderstood enigma. And this is exactly why you give advice they never asked for. It isn't arrogance. It's a genuine belief that you have a more objective, more rational view of their life than they do. So when they push back, when they get defensive, it feels personal. They aren't just rejecting your suggestion, they're rejecting your superior vision. They're choosing to stay in the dark. And here's where the pattern gets truly dangerous. Consider the last real argument you had with someone you care about. That raw feeling of frustration, of talking to a brick wall. You were not just arguing about the facts. You were arguing from the unquestioned position that your perspective was the logical one, the correct one, the baseline for reality. Their disagreement wasn't just a different opinion. It was a failure on their part, a failure to see the world as clearly as you do. This is why you feel so profoundly unheard in a fight. You're not just trying to win a point. You're trying to drag them into the light of your obviously superior reason. You believe you're fighting for the truth. But what you're really defending is the illusion that your truth is the only one that matters. And this connects to the most dangerous part of the pattern. The part most people never want to admit. You're doing the work. You're reading the books. You're watching videos just like this one. You are actively trying to become more self-aware. And this is where the illusion gets clever. It hijacks the very process of your self-improvement. Think about it. You read about a universal human struggle. Maybe it's procrastination, or the tendency to hold contradictory ideas at the same time. You have that flash of recognition, that aha moment. You think, yes, that's exactly right. People do that all the time. But pay attention to the very next thought that arrives. It's quiet, it's fast, and it feels completely reasonable. That thought is, but I'm aware of it now. I can see the pattern, and that means I can handle it better than most people who are just walking around blind. Sound familiar? That's the illusion of superiority wearing the mask of self-awareness. You are using your knowledge of the trap to build a fancier, more sophisticated trap. You aren't just trying to understand yourself. You are trying to become better at being human than other humans. You collect insights about cognitive biases, not just for freedom, but for an edge. It's a way to look at the world and feel just a little bit smarter, a little more evolved than the person next to you in traffic, or your coworker, or even your own family. This is the self-improvement paradox. You are using the tools of humility to build a stronger foundation for your own ego. The pattern is so deep, it infects the cure itself. It turns the medicine into a more refined version of the poison. It lets you feel the rush of enlightenment while ensuring you never actually change. And your mind does this for a very specific reason. This entire mechanism, this constant quiet drive to feel above average, isn't just a simple mistake. It's a shield. It's protecting you from a truth you are terrified to face. Let's pause here. For just a moment, take a breath. If any of what you've just heard feels uncomfortable, good. It's supposed to. Pay attention to your reaction right now. That little sting of defensiveness, that quiet voice in your head listing all the ways you are, in fact, an exception to this rule. That isn't your rational mind speaking. That's the pattern protecting itself. It's the feeling of the illusion being exposed, and your mind will fight like hell to keep it in place. So let me be absolutely clear. This is not a character flaw. This has nothing to do with you being arrogant or conceited or a narcissist. You are not a bad person for having this running in your head. You are a human person. This illusion of superiority is a universal feature of the mind. It was installed in every single one of us for a very specific reason: survival. You have to look back, way back. Picture an early ancestor facing a dangerous, uncertain world. A world of predators and scarcity. A brain that perfectly calculated the odds of failure would have been paralyzed. It would never take a risk. It would never try to cross that river or hunt that larger animal. But a brain that was just a little bit overconfident. A brain that subtly believed it was better than average. That brain would try. That brain would take the risk. It would persevere after failure, believing success was just around the corner. It had the confidence to lead. That slight overestimation of its own abilities wasn't a delusion. It was a powerful engine for progress. It's the reason you are here today. But that ancient survival code is now running in a world it was never designed for. It helped us survive the savannah. It causes chaos in the modern world of complex relationships, nuanced intellectual work, and constant social comparison. The operating system that once kept you alive is now quietly sabotaging your life. It's a ghost in your machine, and it isn't just there to make you feel good. It's a shield. It's protecting you from a very specific, very painful truth. So that feeling of superiority isn't a flaw. It's a survival mechanism. But what is it protecting you from? What deep primal fear is so powerful that your mind has to build this fortress around it? It's a shield against a single, terrifying thought. The thought that you might be average, the crushing anxiety of mediocrity, the deep-seated unspoken dread that after all your work, all your effort, you are fundamentally ordinary. This is the wound the illusion of superiority exists to cover. Think about the last time you received difficult feedback, the last time you were criticized, the last time you truly failed at something that mattered to you. Pay attention to what your mind did in that exact moment. Did it instantly search for a reason the feedback was wrong? Did it whisper, "They just don't understand the full context," or "the circumstances were completely unfair"? That is the shield going up. That is your ego protecting you from the brutal sting of self-blame. It's an instant defense mechanism that says, "It's not me, it's them, it's the world." It works. It dulls the pain. It keeps your self-image intact. But here's where the pattern gets dangerous. That shield doesn't just block the pain of your mistakes, it blocks the lessons. It keeps you from the one thing that creates real growth, uncomfortable self-reflection. By shielding you from the reality of your error, it ensures you will never learn from it. It sentences you to repeat the same patterns, the same arguments, the same failures, over and over again. This protection is a prison. It keeps you safe, and it keeps you stuck. It makes you feel superior in the moment, at the cost of ever becoming better in the future. And this connects to something even more uncomfortable. Because for some people, this shield gets stronger, not weaker, with experience. You might be thinking that intelligence is the antidote. That expertise is the way out of this trap. You believe that the more you know, the more rational you become. That is the single most dangerous assumption you can make. Because for you, the expert, the high performer, the one who has dedicated years to mastering a skill, this illusion is not a bug. It's a feature. It's the illusion of superiority on steroids. This is the curse of knowledge. The more you know about one thing, the more your brain quietly assumes you know about everything. Your success in one domain creates a blinding halo. It convinces you of your competence in domains you have no business touching. Think about it. The brilliant software engineer who gives disastrous financial advice. The celebrated surgeon who has completely uninformed political opinions. The marketing genius whose relationship advice is a train wreck. You know these people. Maybe you are these people. Your mind makes a fatal leap. I am excellent at X, therefore my judgment in Y and Z must also be superior. Your brain stops seeing the boundary between earned confidence and baseless arrogance, and here's the part most people don't want to hear. This is the mechanism that separates genuine self-awareness from profound self-deception. It's one thing to feel you're a better-than-average driver. It's another thing entirely when your proven expertise in one area gives you a license to be dangerously wrong about everything else. This isn't just about ego. It's about the architecture of your mind. Your success becomes a weapon your own brain uses against you, shielding you from the one thing you need most, the humility to say, I don't know. This pattern doesn't just isolate you, it scales. It builds entire worldviews based on a foundation of sand. And when millions of people do this at the same time, that's when the illusion stops being a personal blind spot and starts becoming a cultural catastrophe. That certainty you feel when you know you're an expert, it doesn't stay locked inside your head. It leaks out. It finds a group. It finds a tribe. And this is where a private mental habit metastasizes into a public poison. This is the jump from me to us. Think about your company. You see it as more innovative, more ethical than the competition. Your favorite sports team? They don't just win, they play with more heart, more skill. The referees are just biased against them. Sound familiar? Now think about your political party. Your side of the argument. It isn't just one option among many. It's the only rational moral choice. The other side isn't just misguided. They're either actively malicious or completely uninformed. You're not seeing them as people with different priorities. You're seeing them as people with fundamental defects. Notice the pattern. It is the exact same mechanism we have been tracking, just scaled up. The belief that I am better than the average person has now become we are better than the average group. Your personal identity has merged with the tribe, and so your illusion of superiority becomes the tribe's illusion of superiority. And here is where the pattern gets incredibly dangerous. This is the engine of modern polarization. It's why you don't just disagree with the other side anymore. The illusion makes genuine disagreement almost impossible, because you see them as fundamentally less intelligent, less informed, less ethical. They aren't operating from a different worldview. They are operating from a place of cognitive or moral deficiency. How can you have a real dialogue with someone you believe is fundamentally broken? You can't. You can only dismiss them. You can only fight them. The illusion short-circuits empathy. It kills curiosity. It transforms different opinions into a declaration of war. This mass-scale illusion isn't just something you see on the news. It's in the conversations you have every single day. It has a voice. It has a specific vocabulary. And once you learn to hear it, you will find it absolutely everywhere. In your own words, and in the words of everyone around you. So this pattern isn't just running in the background. It's not just a feeling or a silent assumption. It has a voice. It speaks through you, through the people around you, every single day. You have to learn to hear it, to spot its linguistic fingerprints, because once you can hear it, you can never unhear it. It sounds like this. I'm not like most people, but there it is, the immediate separation, the claim to be the exception before the sentence even gets started. It sounds like this. For me, it's different because this is the sound of someone carving out a special circumstance just for them, a little pocket reality where the normal rules of human behavior don't apply. And here's the most subtle and dangerous one. No offense, but here's what you're not seeing. This is the illusion of superiority, disguised as helpfulness. It assumes you have a clearer, more objective view of reality than the person you're talking to. The phrase, "I'm just being objective," is the ultimate tell. It's a declaration of having escaped the very biases that define human thinking. These are not just phrases, they are shields. They are the exact verbal tools your ego uses to maintain its position of being smarter, more rational, and more self-aware than everyone else. Now stop. Pay attention to your reaction right now. Think about the last time you used one of those phrases. The last time you told yourself or someone else that your situation was different, that you weren't like the rest. What were you defending? What difficult truth were you trying to avoid? Because these phrases are never just about what you're saying. They are about what you are desperate not to feel. They are a defense mechanism. And what this bias is defending you from is something far more fundamental than just being wrong. Take a breath here. Let all of that sink in. The illusion of superiority isn't just some interesting mental quirk. You see it running through everything. Your decisions, your relationships, even the way entire groups of people see the world. And hearing this can feel heavy. It can feel like a loss. To accept that you might not be the exception to the rule, that your judgment isn't uniquely special. It can sound like being told to give up, to settle for less. But that feeling is the biggest illusion of all. The desperate, unspoken need to be superior. That is the real prison. Think about the energy it takes, the constant performance, the need to always have the right answer, the quiet fear of being exposed as wrong, the pressure to defend your ego in every conversation. Sound exhausting? It is. You have been carrying a weight you were never meant to carry. Every single day. Now, I want you to consider something that feels radical. The profound freedom of being average. This isn't a call for mediocrity. It's the exact opposite. It is an invitation to liberation. When you let go of the need to be the smartest person in the room, you are suddenly free to learn from everyone. When you stop defending the idea that you're a better driver, a better partner, a better leader, you are suddenly free to actually improve, to listen, to connect. When you accept that you are just as prone to biases as the next person, you are free from the terror of making a mistake. Failure stops being an indictment of your character. It simply becomes data. It becomes a lesson. This isn't surrender. It's the start of your real strength. You get to put down the shield. You get to stop performing. You get to be curious instead of certain. You get to be authentic instead of correct. This quiet acceptance is not a weakness. It is the soil where every ounce of genuine growth begins. And once you feel that shift, that release of pressure, you realize the illusion was never helping you. It was holding you hostage. You see the trap now. You feel the pull toward feeling special, toward being the exception. But awareness alone is not a weapon. It's just a map of your own prison cell. You need a tool, a key, something that works in the heat of the moment when the illusion is strongest. This isn't about becoming a different person. It's about practicing something called intellectual humility. That sounds academic. It's not. It's a combat tactic for your own mind. It comes down to one single question, a question you must ask yourself before every major decision, during every argument, in every moment you feel that surge of absolute certainty. The question is this: what if I'm wrong? Stop and feel the power in those 5 words. Your brain is built for defense. The moment you form an opinion, it sends out soldiers to protect it. It gathers evidence that you're right. It builds walls. It attacks any opposing viewpoint. This question is a Trojan horse. It bypasses all those defenses. It gives your brain a new command, an opposite command. Instead of, prove me right, it says, search for the evidence that proves me wrong. It forces your mind to switch from a defensive crouch to an exploratory mission. It short-circuits the entire superiority reflex. Think about that argument you're about to have with your partner, the one where you've already prepared your list of reasons why you're right. Before you say a word, ask yourself, what if I'm wrong? What if I'm missing one crucial piece of their reality? Notice how the anger cools. Notice how the need to win is replaced by a need to understand. Think about that big career move you're about to make, the one you're so sure about. Before you sign the papers, ask, what if I'm wrong about this core assumption? You stop defending your ego and start pressure testing your plan. You see the holes before you fall into them. This isn't a practice in self-doubt. It's a practice in self-possession. It's the most powerful way to separate your ego from the truth. Because the person who is willing to be wrong is the only one who can ever truly be right. And learning to live this way, to live without the armor of always being right, changes everything. It changes your future. So what happens now, after you ask that question? After the noise of the ego dies down, picture the next argument you have with your partner, your boss, a friend. Normally, the walls go up. Your mind starts building its case, searching for their flaws, sharpening your counterpoints. You're not listening to understand. You're listening for an opening to attack. Your superiority depends on winning. But now, something is different. You ask that question inside your own head. What if I'm wrong here? And the whole game changes. The tension in your shoulders releases. You stop preparing your defense and you just listen. You hear the words without the filter of your own rightness. The goal is no longer to win. The goal is to see the truth. Imagine someone gives you feedback, critical feedback. The old you would feel a hot flash of shame or anger. That feedback is an attack on your competence, on that superior self you've worked so hard to project. You'd dismiss the person. You'd find a reason why their opinion doesn't matter. But the new you hears it differently. It's just data, information. It's not a verdict on your worth as a human being. It's a tool you can choose to use or discard. The emotional charge is gone. This is the quiet confidence that replaces the loud arrogance of the illusion. Think of the sheer amount of energy you burn every single day. The energy spent defending a version of yourself that doesn't really exist. The mental gymnastics of justifying your mistakes. The constant low-level anxiety of being found out as less than perfect. That energy is now free. It's free to be used for genuine curiosity, for real connection, for solving the actual problem instead of just defending your position. This isn't about becoming a lesser version of yourself. It's not about becoming passive or losing your ambition. It is about becoming more effective, more connected, more at peace. Because you are no longer at war with reality. You are no longer fighting the truth of your own fallibility. You are simply working with what is. And from that grounded place, you have more power than the illusion of superiority could ever give you. You can't unsee this now. Seeing this pattern in yourself is not a comfortable experience. It forces you to look back at decisions, at arguments, at moments of absolute certainty, and it casts a new light on all of them. It can feel like a loss of the very thing that made you feel special, confident, right. But that feeling is a trick. What you've gained is not a burden. It's the beginning of genuine freedom. The illusion of superiority will never go away completely. It is not a flaw to be fixed. It is a feature of your mental hardware, a ghost in the machine that helped your ancestors survive. The voice will still whisper. It will tell you that you're the better driver, the more rational thinker, the one who truly understands. You will feel that old familiar pull of certainty, that quiet justification that you are the exception. But now, something will be different, because now you will recognize the voice. You will feel the pull and know its name. You will see the trap before you step into it. And in that tiny space, that moment of recognition, you gain a choice you never had before. A choice to listen without judgment, a choice to consider you might be wrong, a choice to connect with someone instead of correcting them. You don't need to be superior, you just need to be aware. The pattern will still appear, the illusion will still try to run the show, but now you will see it. And that quiet awareness, that is the only power that matters. That is where everything begins to change.